Nothing.
No,
This is the
go ahead.
quickest one ever.
No, go for it. Yeah, you're good.
Tony, just how do you feel about your group as a whole? Obviously, losing Antonio, but the guys you still have there.
Yeah, I feel good as you can. You know, it's difficult when you see them all the time in practice, but you know, when you get different looks in the game, different speeds, different skill sets of players you go against, you don't really truly know until you get out there. But I felt like from where we were at in spring, throughout the summer till now, I think we're working. I still think we have some ways to go in terms of just getting our bodies and our minds conditioned for a full game. But I like where we're at, man. We got a few young guys that are starting to sprout up a little bit and starting to handle what we're able to give them. So I think it's been a good start to camp. I know we're kind of at the midway point, but got to keep trekking.
When you're at this midway point, how hard is it to get the guys to sort of push through and not hit the wall?
That's the challenge of it, because even being a former player, your body's just not always going to be what it was like practice too, right? So it's more of the mental fortitude to be able to grind and push through it. Like I was talking to my guys about, just got to have some grit sometimes. Like, we had a competition period. Coach Stein loves put us in scenarios for both, defensive advantage and offensive advantage at times, and sometimes special team advantage or disadvantage or whatever the case. So find a way to push through regardless of the circumstances. I think that's a little bit of life lessons too, because the reality of it is we're not always going to feel 100% in what we need to do, but we got to find a way to push through. And in our sport, in our game specifically, like whatever you did in the past doesn't matter. It's a brand new day. It's a brand new down. It's a brand new opportunity. So, like I was kind of touching earlier about like getting our mentality in the right place to be able to push through it. So, for me, I just try to be, I don't want to say different, but I try to challenge them in multiple ways, get them to think about the situation a little bit differently. And they did an awesome job of kind of soaking it up and taking ownership of it, but still not a finished product. Still doesn't look exactly the way we want it to look. But I just try to find new ways to kind of push them and maybe even show them something different, get them to look at something different, or visualize or envision what we're in a little bit different. So that's kind of like the challenge for me as a coach. And I think the best ones that I've been around have been able to kind of get the guys to understand like how important and how much of like a fourth and one mentality you got to have, if you want to be successful in this sport. And I think our guys, they want that. They want to be coached hard. So I'm trying to come with it every day.
CJ got some pretty high praise from Anwar the other day. How have you seen him grow since spring ball started?
Yeah, I would say both, like mentally and physically. That guy's getting bigger, man. You look at him; he looks the part. I know he's still young, and he has some, young mistakes that don't make at times, but he takes ownership in it. It's one thing that I appreciate about CJ, because he has a ton of athletic ability, and he can do a lot on the field. And sometimes he wants that to shine over like what your job is in the play. And I think every great player has a little bit of that in them, like knowing when and when not to kind of shoot your shot a little bit. So kind of just challenging him to understand to make plays within the scheme and make plays within what your job is on a particular play. But he's taking it in, man. And I know, like I said, we asked my position specifically to do a lot. We kind of have to hit every phase of defense, whether you're rushing, whether you're playing the run, whether you're in coverage at times. And these guys take ownership of it, and I think they take pride in that type of position, because I think it takes a certain type of athlete to do what we're asking them to do. Coach Bateman, man, like you guys are going to see here soon, like we got a lot of good stuff, I think, schematically, and if we execute the way we need to execute, it can look, it can look good at times. So CJ and all the guys, really, like I've been impressed with how they've been responding to what we're asking them to do. Now it's just like, can we continue to take that next step as we close out, last few weeks of camp?
What do you see from Sam as he's been able to do more?
Yeah. I definitely see the explosion, whether it's, upper body strength or whether it's him rushing off the edge. He definitely has some juice, and his mentorship with the other guys, just because of his experience on the field, has helped a ton. So it's good to see him out there on the field, and as he continues to progress. But he has some unique athletic traits that I think a lot of guys don't necessarily possess. So I'm excited to get him out there. I know he's excited to get back going. Same thing like with all the guys, trying to get his mentality and his body right to go for this long fight we're about to endure.
Stein wasn't particularly happy with the energy. It sounded like y'all got after the offense pretty well on Saturday. When y'all watching it as a defensive group, what you see from the defense in the scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, it's always back and forth, to be honest with you. And I kind of feel like, just as a coach, how the practice ends usually kind of makes a opinion of what you think of the day. And for us, it's not always consistent as you would like it to be. You know what I mean? If Coach Bateman was up here, I think he would kind of mimic the same notions. But it goes back to the original thing of, like, how can we push these guys through to stay hungry throughout the entire length of the practice, game, quarter, whatever it is, keep finding ways to push through. So looking back to the last week's scrimmage, I thought we did some good things, but my group specifically, because we're not as experienced in terms of like playing time, I feel like at times they're like kind of slow to start. So trying to get them to just jump off the deep end, like right way, just go. So we have the talent, we have the ability to do it. It's just about making a decision. So kind of always finding ways to push. Like, I don't ever think it's good enough, as crazy as that sounds. There's always like a goal you're trying to achieve. Maybe you may not ever get there, but you got to work towards that. So there's always things to critique. There's always things to get better at, and that just kind of comes with the job. And I think they understand that. So a way of like building them up without making everything seem like it's terrible, I think is the uniqueness of the job. But I like how we compete, man. That's one thing I will say. Like, we're not going to back down. If we start off slow, it's not like the day's done. And it's, I think, half on our job to figure out a way to get them back going, whether it's a call we put them in or more of a message we're giving them in between drives. But I thought it was a solid day, but still way too many mistakes, just like stuff getting in our own way. It's not like somebody beating us. That's going to happen at times, but we can't get in our own way, can't shoot ourselves in the foot. So looking into our next like scrimmage opportunity, I'm expecting those guys to make some new mistakes and not go over the same thing we've kind of been coaching. So it was, I don't know, it was all right.
On Saturday, Coach Bateman mentioned that Lorenzo is a really sharp, high football IQ type guy. With that, his physical attributes, what have you seen from him along those lines?
Yeah, Lorenzo's been showing up, man, and it helps when you have, an older brother that plays as well as he does, so he's a guy that can kind of take the coaching and apply it directly, but still still a guy that you kind of need to coach on the particular things. I think sometimes I just think as an athlete, sometimes when you're thinking too much and you're trying to be in the right position all the time, it can get in your way at times. So same thing, just like cut it loose, like go play, then we can react secondary, like use your traits for that. And I think he's a guy that's been, showing up. He's shown that he can, handle a lot of the things that we're asking him to do defensively. He's physical. He has the size. He's another guy that I felt like really did well with Coach Roberts in the offseason. So I'm liking the way these guys are moving. I like the way they look. Now it's just about how consistently can we put that, in between the lines when it's time to play. So I'm liking where he's at, but, same thing. I don't know, maybe I don't know if greedy is the right word as a coach, but like I always want to push the envelope to take that next step. So I'm always going to push these guys to keep getting better.
We've heard so much about the versatility of Coach Bateman's
Yeah.
scheme. Are there ways you can get multiple of your guys on the field at the same time?
I sure hope so. I'm in Bateman's office daily, like, hey, coach, just think about this. But no, but he already does a good job of handling the personnel groupings and how we want to play different situations and knowing like who's going to do what. So I think you're going to see a lot of guys in a lot of different positions this year, and like we have set position names for guys, but based off the call, based off the personnel group, based off the game situation, it can look something completely different for what we may call them. So that's part of the task. What I'm saying, these guys have a lot of things they got to take in, but they're taking ownership of it, man. They try to simplify it for that particular play, and then just go do your thing, do what you do best.
Coach, you talked about the first three guys a little bit. Earlier you mentioned some young guys maybe coming on. Are those young guys works in Cowan, or are there some guys behind them that you've been getting?
Yeah, well, they're the youngest in my group. Zoe being a redshirt sophomore and CJ being a true sophomore. So those are really the young guys. I don't have a huge group. I have like 5 bodies in there. So those are the young guys I'm kind of pointing out, I guess you can say. Yeah.
Coach, you signed on here to help elevate this program in the SEC and college football in general. Why are you confident that can happen?
I think number one, obviously starts with our head coach. I'm a firm believer in him, getting to work with him when I was at Oregon for a season, and knowing what he is about, knowing how he's pushing us as a staff, and knowing how he's pushing these guys within the field. And the culture that we're trying to build and create is not from something that we all haven't seen before. I've been blessed with my career to work with some, really tremendous head coaches that have had success, and he's another one of those coaches that have had a bunch of success. So I think it just comes down to like how we see it and getting these guys to believe in what we're trying to get done. And I feel like what's unique about this group is that you didn't get a ton of pushback. Speaking for defense specifically, when they compete and they've had guys go to the NFL, and sometimes you can walk into that situation and feel like we already got it figured out. We don't need your way. But these guys are hungry to try to do something different. Not to say what they did in the past was good, bad, ugly, whatever. They just want to do something different. That's what we're trying to push upon them. And I just think how we go about it day by day, Coach Stein's vision for us, and then obviously Coach Bateman's vision for us on defense is what makes me feel confident in what we can do. Now it's about making sure these guys go out and play the way we need them to play, because they have the capability to do it. We just got to do it all the time, and I think we'll be where we want to be.
You guys going up against like Hurd and Woods and those physical tight ends
Absolutely.
every day, what kind of measuring stick are you seeing?
I think it's great. I do think it's great. I talk about this with my guys often. We have a really, really good O-line, veteran O-line. We have some really, really good veteran tight ends. Those are probably the guys we see the most in my position. And just going to back and forth battles with those guys, especially those two young ones I mentioned who may have only had 100 or so snaps in their careers. Seeing what it's like to be on it every period, every down is key for us. Because when you get in the SEC, I'm sure we're going to have constant competition like that every week, right? So it's great for me because I get to coach these guys up on things that happen in practice that we can maybe have a jump for when it happens in the game, or if they experience it in the game. Even with our skilled players, just the speed they're coming with, I think that's a good measure for us to understand how we need to approach a tackle, or how we need to make our pass rush moves, or whatever it is. So I love what Coach Sloan is doing offensively. All those guys over there are working with some tools for us that get us thinking and get us out of our comfort zone. So it's a big help for us. Obviously, you get into a game plan that's calls are shrunk a little bit. You have more reps of the same thing off particular looks, so it gets a little bit different in the game. So it stresses us out now, so we can operate through the chaos later.
You mentioned your position group being smaller in terms of just raw numbers compared to some other units. Is that a good thing for you in the sense because you feel like you're able to pour more into each guy as opposed to if your room was twice as big, you gotta have to.
I don't know if I ever thought about that. Yes and no. Yes and no. I guess, my pride as a coach, I feel like no matter how big the group is, I'm gonna try to touch them and find ways to connect with all of them so they can all get better. So I don't really have a preference, whether it's one guy or whether it's 15. I just want them to showcase the best of them on the field, and however I can find a way to do that, I'm gonna do it. I do have a small group, but that's not a negative thing. I think we all come up with the same mentality. We got to find a way to be hungry and go get it. So whatever it is, I'm trying to find a way to win.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.